Kevin Federline released a new book, so he went on Piers Morgan's show to talk about it. So what we're going to do is go through this interview almost sentence by sentence, so you'll know exactly what's going on from a body language and behavior perspective. Let's take a look.
Tell me in your own words why you wrote the book.
Well, I feel like, I've stayed silent for 20 years trying to do right as a father and raise my children outside of the spotlight or Hollywood, whatever you want to call it.
Right out of the gate, he's fairly relaxed. Doesn't seem like he's too stressed here. His blink rate's fairly low, which lets us know he's not, panicking or anything. But at the same time, it lets us know he's focusing on what Piers is saying.
While so many others have told my story.
While so many others have told my story. That's a little bit odd sounding because people don't talk like that in real life. You talk about it in movies and things like that. You talk like that, but it's rare that you hear that in conversation.
While so many others have told my story.
So what does that tell us? It lets us know that he's been prepared for this. Obviously, he would be because it's a big book tour, and part of that tour is going on TV shows and podcasts and on the internet and talking about it. So they've prepped him for this, and that makes sense.
I feel like my story's been told through a different lens, and now, finally, I'm ready to tell my truth.
Anytime somebody says they're getting ready to tell their truth, makes me a little bit wary of what's coming.
You know how damaged Britney is. Why would you deliberately seek to pour fuel on the flames of her mental illness in the way that you have with this book?
Piers gets right to it, and that's good, because he's pointing out what it looks like to all of us.
So there's quite a few reasons, right? For one, my family and I are tired of living the lie. For two, I want my sons and my family to be able to go out and live their lives out from under all of this, and get out of the shadow of this. And a major, major part of why I'm doing this is because we have tried everything else, and I see no other way to try and get her help. Everybody has been alienated from this situation. So
from a body language perspective, nothing has really changed. He's still relaxed. He knows the answers he's going to give. That's why he has to look down and think about them for just a minute, because he's recalling answers. Then he lets them go.
Once we've done everything, this is like my last final straw of trying to plead for help and support for my sons to...
So here we are. The reason he's doing it, because he wants to help his sons. This is for his sons. He wants to make sure their mother is okay.
Get her to a place where it's better. And I understand that this hurts and the truth hurts and all of that. And that is not what I want. I'm not trying to hurt anybody.
And if he doesn't want to hurt her, the book should say a lot of good stuff about her. But from my understanding, it focuses on a lot of negative stuff.
I'm trying to put a perspective on it and show people that help is needed now because time is running out.
So he doesn't need the money or anything. That's not why he's doing it. He's doing it because he wants to help Britney, because that's helping his sons by writing this book. Still, low blink rate, not a lot of stress happening. Looks pretty good, actually.
And when you say time is running out, what do you mean?
It's exactly what it sounds like. I don't want my kids waking up having to deal with the unimaginable.
Their mother might die.
Yes.
So to clarify why he's writing the book is to save Britney's life. He still looks relaxed. He still looks confident with what's happening. I'm not seeing a lot of stress cues at all.
There's only two ways that this ends. Two ways that this ends right now. We've seen it a million times with so many different people.
Now we're seeing his blink rate go up. That's because he's getting a little emotional here. He's got to sell this part of it, because that's the crux of why he wrote the book. He's got a lot to defend about writing this book, but that's the main thing. So that's why he starts getting louder. His voice tone goes up a little bit, and it gets a little punchy in there. In other words, it sounds stronger.
Two ways that this ends. Two ways that this ends right now. We've seen it a million times with so many different people.
Also, this is the most movement we've seen with him so far. His head's going back and forth. It's a lot of shaking back and forth as he does this. But the thing is, that's the kind of shake you do when you're reassuring someone something. I don't want to go there. I've been there before, that kind of thing. So that's normal as far as the head shaking goes. And when you hit on a word like so and you hit that S real long, of course, it's almost like illustrating with words.
With so many different people,
And
so
what are the
this
two
is a
ways?
cry
Kevin,
for
just to
help.
be clear, what are the two ways?
Either you get help or you don't.
He wants to say, or she dies, but I'm sure they said, hey, man, hold that down a little bit as you go through this. It might be too much if you keep repeating it.
Do you talk to Britney at all?
I haven't spoken to her in years.
How many years?
I mean, at least 5, 6.
Looks pretty good. No stress spikes. Nothing's happening. I believe him.
So when she says in this Instagram statement that she's only seen one of your sons for 45 minutes in the past 5 years, is that accurate?
No, that's not.
This is one of those cases where we have something that's a combination of the truth and deception. Doesn't mean he's lying, but what's happening here is this. He's dressing up this answer to sound more like what he wants it to sound like. And the reason I'm saying that is because we have fading facts there at the end. Listen to how he says this.
No, that's not. No, that's not. She's seen one of my sons. She saw one of my sons one day this year, and he decided not to go back over there because of what he saw.
Because of what he saw. It might not be because of what he saw. It could be other reasons. Maybe they're fussing or maybe they just don't get along. But I don't think that was the reason, because of what he saw.
The other one, Jaden, who's my younger son,
The other one. Nothing wrong with saying that, but it just sounds a little bit odd.
is 19 now. He's been over there quite a few times over the past year, and he stopped seeing her in the last few months because of the situation. And they're terrified, and they're worried about their mom, and they don't know how to help because of what all of this has cost.
Every time he refers to the situation going on at the house, notice how he eye blocks.
Because of the situation, and they're terrified, and they're worried about their mom, and they don't know how to help because of what all of this has cost.
Eye blocking can be a couple of different things. We can actually block our eyes when we hear or see something we don't agree with or don't like, or we can close our eyes and keep them closed during the part we're saying or the part we're hearing that we don't like or agree with. And that's what's happening here 2 times.
Because of the situation,
And
what all of this has cost.
so he really believes something's going on over there that would be harmful to her.
Do you think the blaze of publicity around your book, though, is going to help, or could it be the trigger for the disastrous option that you've articulated?
I mean, I'm hoping that it helps. This is a last cry.
I think he knows it's not really going to help because look how long it takes him to start that answer.
The disastrous option that you've articulated.
I mean,
You can tell he's thinking as he's going through this.
I'm hoping that it helps. This is a last cry.
And of course, his voice gets quieter. This isn't quite fading facts, but it gets quieter there.
This is a last cry. This is a last cry.
So that lets us know there's not a lot of confidence in that answer.
Do you talk to Britney's father at all?
I've spoken to all of her family members.
Again, let's pay attention to that head shake. No, he's not lying about this. This isn't being deceptive. I believe what he's saying. What he's saying is true there. But people will say that when they're trying to make you think for real, this is what's happening. Almost like, I can't believe you don't believe this, or there's no way you can't believe me. That there's a reason that people do that. And notice how they land on the words and it goes in a rhythm. When someone's lying about something, if the answer is yes and they say yes, that's different because you're doing it afterwards and it's not going with the words. You're saying yes, like that. Now, if he were to go, yes, I've been telling you 5 times, that's not, then it's going with the rhythm of it and it's landing on the word. So he's illustrating as he's doing that. It's very important we get that straight because a lot of people lean on that and go, oh, that's deceptive. And it really causes problems. So I'll go over that some more because he does it a whole lot.
And do they share your concern about where things have reached?
Anybody that cares and truly cares about Britney is worried about her right now, yes.
No deceptive cues there. I believe he believes that. I believe it's true. Anybody that would know her, that'd be a real true friend of hers or family, should be worried about her because of the way she's acting.
Do you still love her, Kevin?
I mean, yes, not in love with her, but I've always had love for her. She's the mother of my children. I don't want to see anything bad happen to her. Obviously, I want her to be able to share the type of relationship that I have with our kids.
No deception cues there, going back to the head shaking thing. No, notice how that's in a rhythm.
I mean, yes, not in love with her, but I've always had love for her. She's the mother of my children. I don't want to see anything bad happen to her.
That's in a rhythm with what he's saying.
Obviously, I want her to be able to share the type of relationship that I have with our kids.
He's emphasizing those specific words and phrases, just like you do with an illustrator. And when they're off, something's up. But these aren't off.
Obviously, I want her to be able to share the type of relationship that I have with our kids. You know, I mean, even Shar. I share a relationship with Shar, and she shares that relationship with our kids. I want that for Britney.
I don't know who Shar is. I'm sure it may be, maybe it's his new wife's child or something. I don't know. I have no earthly idea. I'm just guessing there. But the rhythm of the head shakes are still there. That's happening the way they should. So I believe that part as well. No deception. However, that doesn't mean he's not into it for other reasons as well.
You said that both your sons have stopped seeing her now because of what they witnessed when they saw her. What kind of thing did they see that has really freaked them out?
I mean, look, I don't want to get into the details of, you know, her privacy. Obviously, I've said so much in my book that, you know.
There it is. He's saving that for the book. What did the kids see? What's really going on over there? We're not going to find out in this interview because that's in his book. Let's also pay attention to how many times he mentions his book. Maybe a lot, maybe a little, don't know yet.
I don't want to get into the details of, you know, her privacy. Obviously, I've said so much in my book that, you know.
All right, there's a lot going on here. I don't want to get into the details of her privacy. And watch what happens. His head goes back. He starts literally turtling there, and his eyes close. He's eye blocking. So this lets us know he didn't want to answer that question. This one bothers him.
Adding to that is not.
Yeah, but look.
Again, we see eye blocking when he says adding to that. Shakes his head no and closes his eyes. So to wrap this clip up, he doesn't want to talk about what the kids saw because he talks about that in the book.
To be honest with you, that's where, okay, come on, Kevin. It's like you've written a whole book invading her privacy. So that ship has sailed.
When he says you've written a whole book invading her privacy, watch what happens to his lips.
You've written a whole book invading her privacy. So that ship has sailed.
They disappear. That's disappearing lips or lip grip.
Privacy. So that ship has sailed. Privacy. So that ship has sailed.
And we usually see that when someone's in trouble for ethics, for ethical reasons, especially during congressional hearings, we'll see that. It's almost like an upside down smile they do. They press so hard sometimes. And he's being called out on that here because he knows that's in his book.
It's just a question of scale.
I mean,
I do think it's pertinent to her current situation, why your sons don't want to be around her. And I think it's not unreasonable that you've explained that to me without saying the kind of thing you're talking about.
Right, but that's not my story to tell. That's my son's story to tell if they decide to. I mean, the things that they've seen are shocking.
That's not his story to tell. And you don't think that stuff's in his book? I bet you it is. And if it isn't, it gets right up next to it.
Right? So shocking that one of my sons came to me and called me and was like, I don't know what to do. I'm afraid mom is going to die. Does that help?
There's another selling point. I saw something so shocking that I'm afraid mom's going to die. Now, that may be true. It may be true, but he's not going to tell it here. He's going to tell it in the book, or it's going to be one of those kids' books in the future.
Yeah, and is this to do with substance abuse, or what are we talking about?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You talk in the book about
a perfect example of the head shake going back and forth like that in rhythm with the words the way it should. So all he's doing there is emphasizing that. He's confirming that answer. Again, that's why I talk about those things as confirmation nods and confirmation shakes.
Talk in the book about her doing while she was still nursing your boys when they were very young. Is it that kind of substance we're talking about?
I mean, it is that, all of it. So much more.
A variety of different drugs.
Yes.
We know the answer is going to be yes before he says yes, because he's shaking his head yes. And watch how he's shaking it.
A variety of different drugs.
Yes.
That's the kind of rhythm you're looking for in an honest answer. So whether any of that's true or not, he believes it is.
A variety of different drugs.
Yes.
Again, we see lip grip, but we see even his chin boss engages. We see this little part of his mouth appear, move up, and help close his mouth. He wants to say more, but he's not going to.
It's a desperately sad situation. Again, critics of you, Kevin, have said that you've just done this for money. So let me just deal with that. How much are you being paid for this book?
Look, if this was about money, I would have cashed in years ago when I was being offered 7 figures to sit down with people like yourself and tell my story. You know, I would have cashed in when the story was at its height. If this was about money, I would have taken Britney to court and demanded $100,000 a month in child support, especially when I knew she was making $50 million a year or whatever. This is not about money. And the one thing that I've learned through all of this is the most important thing to me is my family. The love I have for my kids, my wife now, and everybody that's involved in this situation. Because money cannot touch that. Material things have no meaning to me anymore in my life.
There's a lot going on here. First thing we see is what? Eye blocking.
Critics of you, Kevin, have said
Then as the question goes on, we see that deep breath in and out.
that you've just done this for money. So let me just deal with that. How much are you being paid for this book?
That's adapting. He's trying to get rid of that built-up stress and tension. And that's what this question is creating, stress and tension, because he doesn't want to answer that question.
How much are you being paid for this book?
Look, if this was about money,
Then he tries to act like he doesn't know. We see that single shoulder shrug, which turns into a double shoulder shrug. He goes, Along with that, he's shaking his head no. He doesn't want to answer this.
How much are you being paid for this book?
look, if this was about money, I would have cashed in years ago when I was being offered 7 figures to sit down with people like yourself and tell my story.
Notice how clean, clear, and precise this answer is.
You know, I would have cashed in when the story was at its height. If this was about money, I would have taken Britney to court and demanded $100,000 a month in child support.
It's smooth. It's going a little bit fast. That's because it's prepared. And at the same time, it's bringing up emotions in him.
Especially when I knew she was making $50 million a year or whatever. This is not about money. And the one thing that I've learned through all of this is the most important thing to me is my family. The love I have for my kids, my wife now, and everybody that's involved in this situation. Because money cannot touch that. Material things have no meaning to me anymore in my life.
His eyes get really wide when he says 50 million a year or whatever. That lets us know what bothers him. People do that when they're stressed. They're talking about something like that. I told you their eyes will get big.
50 million a year or whatever.
So when you see it, that person's a little bit angry.
This is not about money. And the one thing that I've learned through all of this is the most important thing to me is my family. The love I have for my kids, my wife now, and everybody that's involved in this situation.
Again, we have the juxtaposition of money and family. It's not about the money. I'm doing this because of my family. It's not because of that 50 million a year she was making or whatever. It's about my family. It's not the money, it's my family.
Because money cannot touch that. Material things have no meaning to me anymore in my life.
That's a great answer. Material things have no meaning in my life anymore. But then why is he doing this book? Then why didn't you do it for free? Or give all the money to charity or something?
Because money cannot touch that. Material things have no meaning to me anymore in my life.
Notice when he eye blocks. He doesn't eye block on material things.
Because money cannot touch that. Material things have no meaning to me anymore in my life.
He eye blocks on have no meaning in my life.
Material things have no meaning to me anymore in my life.
That's the part that bothers him. He doesn't want to say material things don't have any meaning for him anymore, because they still do.
Do you receive any money from Britney now?
No, I haven't received any money from Britney for a year at least.
Did you think he was going to say about 10 years? Because I did.
For how long, sorry?
For a year at least.
So it stopped a year ago. Does she have
Yes.
much money now, do you think, or not?
I mean, I'm not going to dive into her finances, but who knows? I have no idea.
Again, we see the tension rise and the tension release as he gets toward the end of the answer. This isn't fading facts, but he's lost confidence there because he says he has no idea. Yeah, I think he has an idea. Hell, we all have an idea.
But she has no ongoing income from touring or new material or whatever, but I guess she still gets paid a lot for records she's made in the past.
I mean, you would think so, but like I said, I don't know. I mean, that could be a dire situation as well.
For the most part, that's true because you don't sell anything anymore. You sell merchandise at the shows and you get paid to do your thing in Vegas and all that, but you don't get paid for things you sell, for the albums you sell, for the music you sell. And the streaming services, you don't get paid anything for that either. When I mean anything, you don't get paid a whole lot at all. It's tiny.
I always think fame is one of the most lethal drugs of all. But do you think it's that was the catalyst, or were there demons there long before she became famous?
I don't know. I think honestly that it could be a little bit of both. And I agree with you 100%. I even talk about it in my book. I think that fame is the most powerful drug in the world. And it's a very dangerous place to be. I mean, I've lived through some of that myself. And, it's really, really tough.
There's a couple of things going on here. He takes in that deep breath and lets it out.
Long before she became famous.
Then he says, to be honest.
I don't know. I think honestly that it could be a little bit of both. And I agree with you 100%. I even talk about it in my book.
When someone says to be honest, it doesn't mean they've been lying up to that point, but it just sounds like they have been. Now I'm going to be honest and to quit all the lying and to, I don't know, those things bother me. But like I said before, we're seeing a combination of truth and deception in these things.
I think that fame is the most powerful drug in the world. And it's a very dangerous place to be. I mean, I've lived through some of that myself. And, it's really, really tough.
He's talking about Kevin Federline fame. He's not talking about Britney fame. So, because we know her by one name, Britney. We know him by Kevin Federline. Isn't that the guy that was married? Wasn't he the one married to Britney Spears?
But I couldn't honestly tell you for sure because when we were first together, things were so great, and I talk about a lot of this in my book about how incredible it was until it wasn't. And I mean, it's really hard to say if things were there before.
So I think he's gotten a good look at it. But I think like anybody else who comes in contact with that huge amount of fame or becomes that famous, they don't understand it. Nobody does.
How incredible it was until it wasn't. And I mean, it's really hard to say if things were there before.
I'm not seeing any cues that let us know he's being deceptive, but we see him using adapters to get rid of that built up stress and tension. That's about it.
But I couldn't honestly tell you for sure because when we were first together, things were so great, and I talk about a lot of this in my book about how incredible it was until it wasn't. And
so we're not seeing deception here, but we're getting the feeling something's not right because of the way he's acting, because he doesn't want to tell us what happened. He doesn't want to tell us what's in the book. And when that happens, your brain says, hey, man, hang on just a second. Something's not right here. Something's not right. This doesn't look right. Doesn't sound right to me. And that's why. So if you feel really weird about this section here, that's why.
I mean, it's really hard to say if things were there before, right? I think that that's a big possibility, but I also think that the situation that she's in with how famous that she was at such a young age, I mean, it definitely played a part. I think everything has played a part in this.
He believes that. He knows that to be true, which we all would assume that would be the truth. if anybody's in that position, because we have seen that happen so many times before. So he's showing confidence and no deception here.
She also said on Instagram at the weekend that she may have a lot more to reveal. She said, trust me, there's a lot I didn't share in my book and still things at this very moment I've kept hidden because it's incredibly painful and sad. I do feel the logic and mindfulness in my body as one was 100% murdered and destroyed. I couldn't dance or move for 5 months. I do feel like my wings were taken away and brain damage happened to me a long time ago, 100%. I have, of course, moved on from that troubling time in my life, and I'm blessed to be alive. Yeah, what did you make of that when you saw it?
I mean, look, I feel that everybody has the right to tell their truth, right? But I would just make sure that it's the truth. That's what I would say.
Again, he's talking about people telling their truth and how it has to be the truth, which makes me think she's probably got lots to say as well. And no matter what he's saying in here, she's got something worse. So this could be his preemptive strike talking about that.
I mean, look, I feel that everybody has the right to tell their truth, right? But I would just make sure that it's the truth. That's what I would say.
So the biggest change in his behavior since his last answer is his tone of voice. Listen to how much smoother it is. Listen, it's got that rounder tone to it. Last time he was vocal frying because of what was going on there. But now it's getting a little bit louder, it's getting a little bit higher because he's in defense mode. He's a little bit nervous about this one. And his blink rate's up as well. That lets us know he's stressed, and his stress level is rising. And that's what he sounds and looks like when he's in defense mode. So when her book comes out and they interview him about her book, we'll take a look at that too.
Do you think she should be back in a conservatorship? Do you think she needs to be back in a conservatorship? Do you think the Free Britney campaign ended up having the complete opposite effect?
I do think that the campaign had the opposite effect, but I also think that if you really look at it, like, they want her at her best, right? And I think that's something that all of us can agree on. Like, we all want her at her best, you know? And I just hope that somehow, some way it gets there. I don't have the answers. I don't know if a conservatorship is the right thing. I don't know what the answers are. I don't. I mean, that's another reason why I've gone so public with this is, you know, we're searching for answers and we're searching for support.
I thought he said the answer was writing this book and putting it out because it was the last chance at helping her.
My sons, they, you know, I mean, that's really at the end of the day of what this whole thing is.
Okay, there it is. Now he's going to pull his family into it.
Yeah, I've done everything for my kids. I've done everything for my family. And this is a part of that. Like, what type of father am I to not try and reach out and help? And I understand that a lot of people think that this is only going to hurt. There is no other way. You have to trust me in that, because we've tried everything. We've tried to do it privately. We've tried to help her in every which way we possibly can, and everybody's been shut out. So what do you do?
When he says hurt, there's that big swallow when he closes his eyes and turns his head a little bit.
And I understand that a lot of people think that this is only going to hurt. There is no other way.
That's a lot of stress because he knows this question is important, and Piers has just funneled him in to having to answer it.
There is no other way.
And we see eye blocking on there is no other way. Well, I think he knows there's another way. There are several other ways to approach this.
There is no other way.
So remember, we eye block when we hear something or say something or think about something we don't agree with or something that bothers us. And that's what's happening here.
Have your boys read the book?
My boys know everything that's in this book, yes.
And they support you with all of it?
100%.
That 100%, that should have been delivered with a lot more confidence.
100%. So
what does that tell us? He may not believe it when his kids tell him that, or maybe they didn't tell him that and he's assuming that, or maybe he's just saying that. And on the other hand, maybe that's just the way he delivers that kind of information.
If Britney happens to see this interview, Kevin, what would your message to her be?
Well, he wasn't ready for that one. That long pause and that really hard swallow and that deep breath, that's a lot of stress.
Kevin, what would your message to her be?
And he hasn't prepared this answer. How do we know? Because it takes too long to get it out. And it sounds odd. You can tell he's constructing that. He's got inner dialogue going on up there as he's actually talking. We see him creating that as he's saying it.
My message to Britney is know that you are loved. There's so many people around that care about you. And please, please try to find your way back to the people that actually love you.
Although that makes sense, you wouldn't word it that way if you had time to think about it. So that's why I don't think that was a prepared answer. So there you have it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments whether you think he's in it for the money or he's actually in it to help Britney. If you have any questions about body language, just email me, bodylanguagequestions@gmail.com, and I'll get right on it.